Chosen one, before we go any further, I need you to understand something clearly. Wealth is not always about money alone. Wealth is about assignment. It is about purpose. It is about legacy. And most importantly, it is about who God trusts to carry overflow. Some people are chosen to survive. Others are chosen to shift entire bloodlines. And if you are listening to this right now, this message did not reach you by accident. Your spirit was prepared long before your circumstances ever caught up. You were never meant to live small, think small, or pass on limitation to the generations after you. When God sets His eyes on someone, He does not just plan to bless them privately. He plans to use them publicly. He chooses them as a vessel through which blessings flow outward, touching families, communities, and futures not yet born. And that is why your life has never felt ordinary, even when your environment looked average. If this message is reaching you at the exact moment you needed clarity, alignment, or confirmation, take a second right now and type 111 in the comments. That number represents alignment, divine order, and breakthrough. And make sure you subscribe to this channel, because what you are about to hear is not motivation. It is revelation. Now let us begin with the first sign, the foundation of everything that follows, the reason you are marked differently from the very beginning. You think differently about money. From early on, you noticed something was off. While others around you treated money with fear, suspicion, or resentment, something inside you refused to accept those beliefs. In your family, money may have been spoken about in hushed tones or bitter jokes. You may have heard phrases like, "Money is hard to come by," "We're just not lucky like other people," or "Rich people are greedy." Those words were repeated so often that they became a family language, a survival script passed down quietly from one generation to the next. But even as a child, even before you had the vocabulary to explain it, your spirit resisted that narrative. You felt it deep inside. This is not the full story. This is not how it's supposed to be. While others saw money as something scarce, you sensed it was something strategic. While others saw it as something dangerous, you saw it as something powerful. Not powerful in the sense of control, but powerful in its ability to create freedom, opportunity, and impact. You never saw money as the goal. You saw it as a tool, a servant, a seed, something that could be planted, multiplied, and used to build something larger than yourself. That difference alone set you apart more than you realized at the time. Most people are programmed for survival. Their thinking revolves around paying bills, avoiding risk, and staying comfortable. But you were never comfortable with just getting by. Even when you didn't have much, your mind wandered beyond the present moment. You thought about businesses instead of paychecks, assets instead of expenses, systems instead of single wins. You imagined ownership where others accepted limitation. You thought in terms of growth leverage and long-term vision, even if no one around you spoke that language. That is not something you learned. That is something you were given. You see, money is neutral. It simply amplifies what already exists within a person. And God does not entrust amplification to everyone. He chooses carefully. He looks for those who understand that money is not meant to replace faith, but to fund purpose. You understood intuitively that money could unlock doors. Doors to education, doors to opportunity, doors to healing, doors to freedom for people who never had a chance. While others feared money because of what it might turn them into, you respected it because of what it could allow you to do. You don't dream of wealth just to escape struggle. You dream of wealth because you see what lack has done to your family. You've seen talent wasted because of financial pressure. You've seen dreams delayed, postponed, or buried entirely because survival came first. And something in you decided, consciously or not, that this pattern would not continue through you. You want to build something that lasts, something your children will inherit without shame or fear, something your grandchildren will benefit from without having to fight the same battles you did. That clarity is not common. It is not accidental. It is divine. To think differently about money in a world programmed for limitation is a sign of spiritual elevation. It means your mind was upgraded before your bank account ever was. And that upgrade came with responsibility. You do not see wealth as entitlement. You see it as stewardship. You understand that abundance carries weight, that it demands wisdom, discipline, and restraint. That is why God allowed you to see money differently before allowing you to hold much of it. He was preparing your mindset to carry what your hands will one day receive. You may have felt out of place because of this. You may have been called unrealistic, obsessed, or too focused on the future. But what they couldn't see was that you weren't chasing money. You were responding to vision. You weren't rejecting your family. You were refusing to inherit limitation. You were never arrogant. You were aware. Aware that you were meant to do more, build more, and leave more behind than what you were given. This first sign alone already tells a powerful story. You do not think like the rest, because you were not chosen to live like the rest. God gave you eyes to see money not as a master, but as a messenger that confirms provision, alignment, and impact. A messenger that will one day testify that the curse of lack stopped with you. And this is only the beginning, because when your mindset shifts, everything else follows. Stay with me, because the next sign will explain why you felt pressure on your life that others around you never seemed to carry. Chosen one. Now that you understand why your mind was trained differently, we need to talk about the weight you've been carrying, the pressure that never really left your shoulders even when you tried to ignore it. This is the second sign, and for many people, this is the one that hits the deepest. You carry generational burdens, not metaphorically, not emotionally only, spiritually. From a very young age, you felt it, a sense that your life was never just about you. While others moved through life thinking only about their own comfort, your decisions always felt heavier, as if something larger was riding on your success or failure. You may not have had the words for it, but the feeling was always there. If I don't make it, everything stays the same. If I don't break through, nothing changes. That pressure did not come from nowhere. It was placed on you intentionally. You see, most people live isolated lives. Their choices affect them and maybe a small circle around them. But your life has always felt connected to something bigger. When you struggle, it feels like your whole family struggles with you. When you win, it feels like everyone breathes a little easier. That is because you were never meant to run alone. You were chosen as a carrier of hope, of breakthrough, of change. And carriers always feel weight before they feel reward. You may have noticed that your family, even without saying it out loud, looks at you differently. They expect more from you. They lean on you emotionally, mentally, sometimes even financially, even when you yourself feel empty. You may be the one they call during crises, the one they expect to figure things out, the one they assume will somehow make a way. And there were moments when you wondered why. Me. Why does everything feel like it falls on my shoulders? Why can't someone else step up for once? But deep down, you already know the answer. Because you were built to carry what others cannot. This burden is not meant to crush you. It is meant to awaken you. Every generation has patterns. Cycles of lack, cycles of fear, cycles of settling. In your bloodline, those cycles may have shown up as financial struggle, missed opportunities, broken dreams, or survival being mistaken for success. Others before you may have wanted more, but never had the courage, resources, or clarity to break free. And so the cycle continued. Until you are the interruption. You are the disruption. You are the one placed in the family line to say this ends here. That is why your struggles felt different, harder, heavier. You weren't just fighting for yourself. You were fighting against momentum that had been building for generations. Poverty is not just a lack of money. It is a mindset, a memory, a system that teaches people to stay small because dreaming feels dangerous. And you were born with a spirit that could not accept that. So resistance followed you. Pressure followed you. Responsibility followed you. You may have grown up faster than others. You may have had to be strong before you were ready. You may have felt like you were carrying expectations you never asked for. But understand this clearly. God does not place generational assignments on weak vessels. He chooses those with resilience, depth, and endurance. He chose you because you could handle it even on the days you felt like you couldn't. This is why settling was never an option for you. Even when you tried to lower your expectations, something inside you refused. You knew instinctively that too many people were connected to your outcome. That settling would not just affect you, it would affect those who come after you. And that awareness is not common. It is the mark of a generational leader. You were not cursed with responsibility. You were entrusted with it. There is a difference. Curses drain. Assignments refine. What you've been carrying has been shaping you, strengthening you, and aligning you for something greater. The nights you stayed awake, worrying about the future, were not wasted. They were preparation. The pressure you felt was not random stress. It was compression. And compression always precedes expansion. Think about it. Diamonds are not formed in comfort. They are formed under pressure intense enough to transform structure itself. And that is what has been happening to you. God has been reshaping you internally so that when wealth arrives, you don't drop it, misuse it, or fear it. You will know exactly what to do with it. Because you've already been carrying weight long before money ever showed up. Generational burdens often feel lonely because few people understand them. Others may see your seriousness and mistake it for stress. They may see your focus and mistake it for obsession. They may see your discipline and mistake it for rigidity. But they don't see the assignment behind it. They don't see the bloodline behind it. They don't feel the responsibility behind it. You do. And that is why you cannot live casually. This burden is also a promise. It means there is something on the other side worth carrying it for. God would never assign you to lift generations if He did not also plan to supply you with what is required to do so. The weight you feel now is temporary. The impact you are being prepared for is permanent. You are the bridge between the past and the future. The past of lack, fear, and limitation ends with you. The future of abundance, stability, and freedom begins through you. And bridges are always stepped on before they are celebrated. They carry traffic before they carry praise. But without them, no one gets across. So, if you've ever felt like the pressure on your life was unfair, know this. It was intentional. You were never meant to escape responsibility. You were meant to transform it into blessing. And when you finally step into the wealth assigned to you, the chains on your family will not break slowly. They will snap. Because generational burdens are not signs of generational curses. They are signs of generational blessings forming. And you are standing right in the middle of that transformation. Stay with me, because the next sign will explain why, no matter how many times life knocks you down, something inside you refuses to quit. Chosen one, if the weight you carry explains the pressure on your life, then what I am about to share now explains the fire that refuses to go out inside you. This is the third sign, and for many people, this is the one they have tried to silence the most. You have unexplainable ambition. No matter how many times life has tried to humble you, limit you, or convince you to settle, there has always been a voice inside you that whispers, "I was made for more." You didn't learn that voice. No one taught it to you. It didn't come from your environment, your family, or your circumstances. In fact, if anything, your environment tried to kill it. And yet, it survived. That alone tells you something important. From the outside, your ambition may look excessive. People may ask why you can't just be satisfied, why you're always thinking ahead, why you're never fully comfortable with where you are. They may say you're restless, impatient, or unrealistic. But what they don't understand is that your ambition is not rooted in comparison. You are not trying to prove anything to anyone. You are responding to an internal pull that will not let you rest. Even on days when you are tired, even on days when you are discouraged, even on days when you tell yourself to slow down, something deeper keeps pushing you forward. That push is not anxiety. It is assignment. Think about how many times you've been knocked down, how many setbacks you've faced that should have convinced you to give up. There were moments when quitting would have been logical, when settling would have made sense, when choosing comfort over growth would have saved you pain, and yet you couldn't do it. Even when you stopped temporarily, you never fully disengaged. Even when you walked away, part of you stayed alert, watching, waiting, preparing for the moment you would rise again. That is not normal ambition. That is spiritual drive. This kind of ambition does not come from ego. Ego wants recognition. Ego wants applause. Ego wants quick wins. But your ambition is different. It's quiet, persistent, and patient. It shows up even when no one is watching. It keeps you thinking late at night about possibilities instead of excuses. It keeps you imagining solutions when others are complaining about problems. It keeps you moving forward even when the reward is not immediate. That is because your ambition is connected to vision. And vision always outlives circumstances. You've probably noticed this pattern in your life. You reach a goal, and instead of feeling finished, you feel redirected. You accomplish something, and instead of feeling satisfied, you feel activated for the next level. Not because you are ungrateful, but because completion triggers awareness. Awareness that this was never the final destination. You were never meant to stop at milestones. You were meant to build momentum. That's why contentment without growth makes you uncomfortable. Your spirit was not designed to stagnate. Many people confuse ambition with greed, but they are not the same. Greed is rooted in lack. Ambition, when divinely placed, is rooted in purpose. Greed wants more for self. Purpose-driven ambition wants more to build, to expand, to impact. And you have always felt that difference, even if you couldn't articulate it. You don't just want success. You want significance. You don't just want money. You want meaning attached to it. You want your work to matter beyond you. That desire did not come from culture. It came from calling. This is also why you often feel misunderstood. People who are programmed for routine cannot comprehend vision. People who are comfortable with survival cannot understand assignment. So when they see your ambition, they project their fears onto you. They tell you to be realistic, to lower your expectations, to stop dreaming so big. But what they are really saying is that your vision challenges their limitations. And instead of expanding, they ask you to shrink. But you cannot, because shrinking would feel like betrayal to your spirit. Your ambition has survived seasons that should have killed it. It survived lack. It survived rejection. It survived failure. It survived delay. That is because it was never sustained by circumstances. It was sustained by purpose. And purpose does not expire just because the road gets hard. Purpose waits. Purpose adapts. Purpose persists. That is why no matter how many times life resets you, your desire to rise resets with you. You may have noticed that your ambition does not turn off. Even in moments of rest, your mind is still active. You are still thinking about how to improve, how to build, how to position yourself for the future. This is not restlessness for restlessness' sake. It is preparation. God keeps your vision alive because what He has assigned you to build requires foresight. You are not meant to react to life. You are meant to anticipate it. This ambition is also protective. It keeps you from becoming complacent. It keeps you from getting trapped in comfort zones that look safe but lead nowhere. It keeps you alert to opportunities, sensitive to timing, and aware of growth edges. While others settle into routine, you feel an internal urgency. Not panic, but urgency. A sense that time matters, that alignment matters, that this season is important. That is not pressure. That is purpose awareness. Understand this clearly. God does not place strong ambition in weak assignments. He does not ignite fire where there is nothing to build. The intensity of your ambition is proportional to the size of what you are meant to carry. That is why it feels bigger than you at times. That is why it scares you sometimes. That is why you have moments of doubt where you wonder if you're asking for too much. But you're not. You are simply seeing ahead of your resources. And vision always arrives before provision. You were never meant to live a quiet life of hidden potential. You were meant to stretch, to grow, to expand, to reach beyond what is familiar. That is why your ambition keeps pulling you forward, even when logic tells you to stop. Logic measures present conditions. Vision measures future alignment. And you have always been guided by the future more than the present. This third sign confirms something crucial. You are not built for average outcomes. You are built to pursue something larger than yourself. And that pursuit will not leave you alone until it is fulfilled. You can slow it down. You can ignore it for a while. But you cannot erase it, because it was placed in you intentionally. Your ambition is not a flaw. It is evidence. Evidence that wealth for you is not a fantasy. It is an assignment waiting for alignment. Stay with me, because the next sign will explain why comfort has never been able to hold you for long, no matter how hard you tried to stay there. Chosen one. If the fire inside you explains why you keep moving forward, then this next sign explains why comfort has never been able to hold you for long. This is the fourth sign, and it is one of the clearest confirmations of your calling. You refuse to settle. No matter how many times life offers you a version of enough something inside, you rejects it. You may have tried to convince yourself that stability was sufficient, that safety was success, that a quiet life would bring peace. But every time you attempted to settle into comfort, your spirit felt restricted, almost suffocated. It wasn't anxiety. It wasn't ingratitude. It was misalignment. You were never designed to stay where you were not growing. You see, many people mistake settling for peace. They confuse familiarity with fulfillment. They choose environments that feel predictable because predictability feels safe. But safety has never been your highest value. Alignment has, growth has, purpose has. And whenever you stayed too long in a place that required no expansion, you felt restless. Not because something was wrong with the place, but because something was wrong with staying. Your soul was signaling that you had outgrown that level. Think back to the moments when you had every reason to stay comfortable. The job that paid the bills but drained your spirit. The routine that looked respectable but felt empty. The path that your family approved of but your intuition resisted. On the surface, walking away from those situations may have looked irrational. Others may have told you that you were ungrateful, reckless, or unrealistic. But what they didn't understand was that comfort without purpose feels like slow suffocation to someone with an assignment. You were never satisfied with just enough because you were not designed for minimal impact. Mediocrity irritates your spirit because your vision is larger than maintenance. You don't just want to survive the month. You want to build something that lasts decades. You don't just want to pay bills. You want to create systems that produce freedom. And that hunger has always been present even when you tried to ignore it. This is why stagnation affects you differently. While others can remain in the same place for years without questioning it, you feel uneasy when you are not progressing. When there is no learning, no stretching, no growth, something inside you starts to shut down. You feel disconnected, drained, unfulfilled. That reaction is not weakness. It is sensitivity to purpose. Your spirit recognizes when it is being underused. Settling would require you to betray your own awareness. And you've always known deep down that betrayal of self leads to regret. That is why, even when growth scared you, you still chose it. Even when risk made you uncomfortable, you leaned toward it. Not reckless risk, but purposeful risk. Risk that moved you closer to alignment. Risk that expanded your capacity. risk that forced you to become more than you were yesterday. Others may look at your life and see dissatisfaction, but what they are actually witnessing is discernment. You can sense when something is temporary, even if it looks permanent to everyone else. You can feel when a chapter is ending before the page turns. That awareness makes it impossible for you to fully relax in places that were never meant to be final destinations. And that is a gift, not a flaw. You were not designed to blend in. You were designed to expand. And expansion requires movement. It requires discomfort. It requires leaving what is familiar in exchange for what is aligned. That is why your life has often involved transitions, shifts, new starts, moments where you had to walk away without having every detail figured out. Those moments were not instability. They were obedience. Obedience to the internal guidance that refused to let you settle for less than what was prepared for you. There is also something important you must understand about this sign. Your refusal to settle is not rooted in greed. It is rooted in responsibility. You are aware, even subconsciously, that settling would limit not only you, but everyone connected to you. Settling would cap the impact you are meant to have. Settling would delay the breakthrough meant for your bloodline. And because you carry generational responsibility, your spirit rejects anything that threatens that mission. This is why criticism has followed you. People who are comfortable with limitation will always feel threatened by someone who refuses to accept it. They may label you as difficult, dissatisfied, or overly ambitious. But what they are really reacting to is your unwillingness to conform. Your presence challenges the idea that settling is normal. And for those who have made peace with smallness, that challenge feels uncomfortable. But you were never called to make others comfortable at the expense of your destiny. You were called to move forward, even when it made others question their own choices. That does not make you arrogant. It makes you aligned. You are not rejecting people. You are rejecting ceilings. You are rejecting limits that were never meant to define you. Every time you refuse to settle, you are making a declaration, even if you didn't say it out loud. You are declaring that your current reality is not your final reality. You are declaring that what you see now is not the full picture. You are declaring faith in a future that had not yet manifested. And declarations like that require courage. Understand this clearly. God does not plant dissatisfaction in people. He intends to keep small. He uses it as a signal that growth is required, that movement is necessary, that elevation is coming. Your dissatisfaction with enough is not ingratitude. It is foresight. It is your spirit recognizing that abundance is not just coming to you, but through you. You refuse to settle because you know at the deepest level that you were designed for overflow. Overflow of provision, overflow of impact, overflow of influence. And that overflow cannot be contained in average environments or small expectations. It requires expansion. It requires courage. It requires alignment. This fourth sign confirms something powerful. You were never meant to stay where you started. You were meant to move, to rise, to outgrow, and to elevate. Comfort may visit you, but it will never be allowed to trap you. Because your destiny is not found in what is easy. It is found in what is aligned. Stay with me, because the next sign will explain why opportunities seem to find you. even when others around you swear there are none. Chosen one. This next sign explains something you may have noticed quietly, but never fully understood, and once you hear it, you will never see your life the same way again. This is the fifth sign. You attract opportunities others don't see. Even in seasons where your resources were limited, even when your situation looked stuck, doors still found their way to you. Conversations turned into connections. Small moments turned into turning points. While others complained that chances were rare or non-existent, you kept finding openings in unexpected places. This is not luck. This is alignment. You carry a kind of spiritual awareness that allows you to recognize opportunity before it announces itself. Where others see dead ends, you sense potential. Where others see obstacles, you see leverage. That ability is not learned behavior. It is spiritual vision. Chosen ones are not always the most privileged, but they are often the most perceptive. You've noticed that opportunities don't always arrive fully formed. They often show up disguised as inconvenience, risk, or responsibility. And while others ignore them because they don't look safe or guaranteed, something inside you leans in. You feel a pull, a curiosity, a quiet nudge that says, "Pay attention to this." That nudge is discernment. It is the ability to see value before proof appears. And that is one of the rarest traits a person can have. You may have been underestimated because of your starting point. People may have assumed you were behind, unqualified, or out of position. But opportunity does not respond to status. It responds to readiness. And while others waited for perfect conditions, you learned how to recognize moments. You learned how to listen. You learned how to act when timing felt right, even if the outcome was uncertain. That is why doors opened for you when logic said they shouldn't have. Favor follows alignment. When you are walking in purpose, life rearranges itself to meet you halfway. That doesn't mean you won't struggle. It means that even in struggle, access is still available. You've probably experienced moments where a single decision changed the direction of your life. A yes you almost said no to. A conversation you almost skipped. A risk you almost avoided. Looking back, you realize those moments were invitations, and you accepted them not because you were fearless, but because your spirit recognized timing. Others may look at your life and say you're lucky, but luck is random. What you experience is consistent. You don't attract opportunity because you chase it desperately. You attract it because you are positioned internally to receive it. Your mindset, your discipline, your awareness, and your willingness to grow create an environment where opportunity can land. You are not just waiting for blessings. You are prepared for them. And preparation is what separates those who receive from those who miss it. This is also why you often feel pressure to act. You sense when a window is opening. You feel urgency not driven by fear, but by awareness. You know that some doors do not stay open forever. And because you understand that timing matters, you move when others hesitate. That decisiveness is part of your assignment. Wealth does not flow to indecision. It flows to alignment. You've likely noticed that opportunity seems to follow you across environments. It didn't disappear when you changed jobs. It didn't vanish when you moved cities. It didn't stop when you failed. That's because opportunity is not tied to location for you. It's tied to identity. Wherever you go, your perception goes with you. Your discernment goes with you. Your ability to see goes with you. And that is why even setbacks don't fully stop your momentum. This fifth sign confirms something crucial. Wealth is not only about effort, it is about vision. Hard work matters, but vision determines direction. And you have been given eyes to see what others walk past. That is why ideas come to you naturally. That is why you think in possibilities, while others think in limits. That is why doors open when you are still figuring things out. You were never meant to wait for permission. You were meant to recognize opportunity and move. But here is the warning that comes with this sign. Opportunities multiply when they are honored, but they fade when they are ignored. Favor must be stewarded. Discernment must be acted on. If you delay too long out of fear, self-doubt, or the need for external validation, you risk missing what was sent specifically for you. This is why discipline and faith must walk together. You were given vision, but you must choose obedience. Understand this clearly. You attract opportunities because wealth is written into your path. Life is responding to your alignment. But attraction alone is not enough. Action is required. And that is why this message is reaching you now. To remind you not to dismiss what keeps appearing in front of you. To stop minimizing the doors opening quietly around you. To trust that what you are seeing is real, even if others don't understand it yet. Chosen one. If this sign resonates deeply with you, this is your moment to acknowledge it. Do not scroll past this lightly. Type 111 in the comments right now if you recognize that opportunities have been finding you in unexpected ways. Type 111 if you know deep down that doors have been opening and you're being called to step through them. And if you feel the weight of this message, if it feels like confirmation rather than information, leave a comment saying, "I receive this assignment." Let your declaration be seen. Let alignment be activated. And make sure you subscribe to this channel, because this is only the beginning. The next parts of this journey will show you how to walk fully into the abundance that has already been positioning itself around you.